The opening of the Devonshire Dock took place on Thursday the 19th of September 1867, just a few months after the incorporation of the new municipal borough of Barrow-In-furness. It was an important event nationally, as newspapers across the country reported. The London Daily News. The marvellous and rapid growth of Barrow during the last 7 years has no parallel in England and reminds one more of the strides taken by some city of the western states than the progress of a commercial community of our own. The Manchester Times. Mr Gladstone at Barrow. The formal opening of the new docks at Barrow in connection with the Furness Railway took place on Thursday afternoon in the presence of a distinguished company. That distinguished company included all the members of Parliament for Lancashire, Cumberland and Westmoreland, leading mayors, businessmen and many influential gentlemen. The prize guest, of course, was Liberal politician William Ewart Gladstone, who, just 1 year later in 1868, was to become British Prime Minister for the first of 4 terms he would serve in that role. Readers are given details of the carnival atmosphere in town and of 2 triumphal arches set up on the bridge between the Devonshire Dock and the still tidal Bucchleuch Channel to celebrate Barrow's future prosperity. In the evening there were bonfire celebrations on Barrow Island. This extract gives a description of exactly what is happening in these pictures from the Illustrated London News. They were received on board a steamer at the town pier, which shortly after 2 o'clock steamed away at the head of a procession of vessels to make the tour of the new docks. Having rounded Barrow Island, passing up the Walney Channel, which divides it from Walney Island, the steamer entered the Devonshire Dock, and the directors and their friends made a brief inspection of the dock works. They afterwards proceeded to visit the hematite iron and steel works at Hindpool, of which Mr James Ramsden, the Mayor of Barrow, is the managing director. This transcript comes from the Our Barrow series of books, researched and written in the 1980s by local teacher and historian Alice Leach. Copies of these books are kept at the Cumbria Archive and Local Studies Centre in Barrow. There was free travel for the invited dignitaries, the trip on the steamship Herald, a steelworks visit and a banquet at the station. By the time of this map of 1873, Bucchleuch Dock had also been completed and the town had grown considerably. The Barrow Flax and Jute Works was founded by James Ramsden in 1870 to provide work for the growing female population. It was situated on the whole plot of land that was once home of Lakeland Laundry and the John Winner Institute, between Duke Street, Hindpool Road and up to the rugby ground. Where now stands the old fire station building, backing onto Clifford and Parade Street, was an open field and cricket ground, later to become also a parade ground. Victorians wouldn't recognise this dockside area today. The steam corn mill, the gasworks, the foundries and railway sidings are now home to retail outlets, a supermarket and Hollywood Park. The biggest change, of course, was the building of the Devonshire Dock Hall between 1982 and 1986, on land infilled with sand pumped from Roosecote. With the opening of the Dock Museum in 1994, the whole northern end of Devonshire Dock disappeared. From 1867 onwards, ships would have sailed up Walney Channel to enter the dock and the graving dock opposite the old ferry crossing site. The dock basin now lies underneath the Dock Museum grounds, and the museum is built over the graving dock. When you stand here inside the museum, you are standing where once stood the hulls of many great ships laid up for repair. The original entrance to Devonshire Dock is not totally lost though. The outer dock walls and gate area can still be seen as a reminder at the channel side of the museum grounds. The The 150-year celebration of the Devonshire Dock in July 2017 took place at a time when further plans for dockland regeneration are becoming reality. Work is starting on what will be Barrow's long-awaited marina village and waterfront project on land alongside Cavendish, Bucchleuch and Ramsden docks. A similar scheme in Lancashire saw the regeneration of the Albert Edward Dock after the closure of the Port of Preston in 1981. It is now a busy and vibrant part of the city. On Barrow Island will be the new Channel Side Waterfront Business Park. The initial road network has been completed. The Harding Rise access road connecting with Ramsey Way and Dover Way, names which are a gentle reminder of the natural tidal harbour, channels and islands in the days before the arrival of the railway and of industry. Some of the newspapers of 1867 talk about how isolated Barrow had been before the boom. The London Standard commented that visitors to Furness Abbey only 10 years earlier would have found nothing of interest nearby. There was, to be sure, a tiny hamlet by the sea called Barrow-In-furness, but the population of the insignificant little heap of huts was only 250, and there was nothing either in them or in the place to repair the inconvenience of getting to it. Baines's 1824-25 Guide to Lancashire gives us this summary of villages in the parish of Dalton in the early 1820s. There are many familiar names, but Barrow is just a hamlet 4 miles south-southwest of Dalton. Lower Furness is described as mostly of interest to admirers of the picturesque beauties of nature, but the guide also takes time to comment that the iron mines of Lindle are in full operation and producing rich and excellent hematite ore. The firm of Harrison, Ainsley & Co. is here reported as shipping an annual average of 10,000 tonnes of ore, as well as producing 12 tonnes of iron weekly in their own charcoal furnaces, the first of which was built in 1747 at Newland near Ulverston. Harrison, Ainsley & Company began life in 1735 as an iron smelting company established by Richard Ford and known from its location as the Newland Iron Company. The company soon built piers at Barrowhead and at Green Odd. They built an iron ore quay on the Ulverston Canal about 1799. It was from places like Newland that, from about 1745, ore and small quantities of finished pig iron were carted off to the Barrowhead Channel to be shipped away to Wales and the Midlands. The roads were poor and were often impassable in winter. The last part of such a cart journey would have been along the route from the present Dalton Road to Schneider Square, and then down this slope through the heart of Barrowhead village to the piers on the shore of the Barrow Channel. It's no surprise then that the Furness Railway opened in 1846 to improve the transport of these increasingly in-demand resources. The discovery of the Park iron ore deposit near Askham in 1850 by Henry Schneider meant that the existing piers could no longer cope with the amount of shipping needing to enter the Barrow Channel. By the mid-1850s, the Furness Railway was making plans to block and enclose the natural channel to create a huge dock system. The company was also beginning to lay out plots for the proposed development of a new Victorian planned town. By 1856, these plans show that building had already started from Barrowhead along the Strand towards the Rabbit Hill or St George's Hill area. Here was the first town railway station and the Furness Railway headquarters and engineering works. In 1859, work started on St George's Church, which was intended to be the parish church of the developing town. It was at that time perfectly situated alongside the station and railway headquarters, but it was left isolated as the new town began to grow away from it with the opening of the Barrow Ironworks in 1859. The railway station was relocated to its present position in 1882. Before the Act of Parliament of 1841, which gave the Ordnance Survey the right to survey England and Wales, maps were produced by travellers, scholars and the writers of gazetteers. Maps such as these. They show the natural, sheltered deep-water harbour entrance between Peel and Roe Islands, and the safe channel protected by Walney. At the heart of the channel on these maps lie the islands of Old Barrow, Old Barrow-Ramsay and Dover Hore. The latter, of course, remembered in the new road names of the proposed waterfront business park. Today, of course, thousands of people live in Barrow and on its islands. Old Barrow and Old Barrow-Ramsay have been completely absorbed by the docklands. Dover Hore and Headinghore still exist, and Sheep Island, Peel, Roe and Falney Islands still stand their ancient guard at the entrance to the safe deep-water harbour, as they have done for centuries. This is the Barrow we know today, but I'm fascinated by the Barrow before 1867 and the first dock opening, the Barrow before 1846 and the arrival of the Furness Railway, the Barrow before the arrival of families like mine who came seeking work in the Victorian iron, steel and shipbuilding town. The first national census was taken on the night of the 6th of June 1841, and listed were the original inhabitants of Barrow, members of the small farming communities at the very tip of the Furness Peninsula, people who, over the next 40 years, would see their rural lifestyle swallowed up by industry.